Hare Krishna Prabhu.
ఇప్పుడు మా వదిన పైన
హరే
చేసుకున్నాను
కృష్ణ
అడ్వాన్స్
ప్రభుజీ.
బుకింగ్ ఇవన్నీ అట్లా అన్నమాట. సో మీరు చేసుకుంటారా?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Mata ji Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Dandavat Pranam Mata ji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। चंदन here.
Chandan Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।
All right. So we will finish this 14th chapter today and begin with the first 2-3 verses of 15th chapter. Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Okay, continuing on the 14th chapter, the acronym for this chapter is TRAP, and we were discussing how this material nature trap us and keep us continue our stay in this material existence um, um, by these three modes: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. How all our activities are governed by these three modes. And last week we discussed mode of goodness. We discussed the example of Mr. and Mrs. Bright, hobbies like cow farming. They would learn by seeing others. They would not commit any sinful activities. Um, very regulated in their lifestyle, satisfied with simple needs, um, clean. So these are all signs of goodness. Then passion is hankering, attachments, longing to acquire something, to do something, to achieve something. Passion. And ignorance is um, laziness, oversleeping, intoxication, anger, um, procrastination. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. These are the sign of ignorance. So how um, we are bound by one of these three modes. Now, coming to the action and reaction, here we will see three kind of so mode of goodness. What is the immediate effect? What is the short term effect? And what is the long term effect? Likewise for mode of passion and for mode of ignorance. So, mode of goodness, immediate effect is knowledge, jnana. Um, um, like if you see this example of Mr. and Mrs. Bright, um, when he would see people having extramarital affairs, were in lot of anxiety and suffering. So he learned from them that I should not do such a thing in my life. So it's a sign of knowledge. So this is the immediate effect. If one is living the life of goodness, then he can see and identify this is wrong, this is sinful. His senses are illumined by knowledge. He can see, hear, taste everything with respect to knowledge. If he lives such a life, getting up early morning, living a regulated life, um, eating food in mode of goodness, dealing with others in a mode of goodness, if he lives such a life, his heart will start to become purified. So this is the midterm effect, is purity. Because he does not engage in sinful activities, he does not he does not get distress. So purity with distress is short term effect. Immediately he will see knowledge, he will act in knowledge. Eventually the heart will become more and more purified by this mode of goodness. And long term he goes to heavenly planets. All demigods are primarily in mode of goodness. Humans are in mode of passion. Animals and hellish planets are in mode of ignorance. Um, Someone who has lot of hankering, greed, um, desires, attachments, this is short term effect. This is immediate effect. I want it, longing, hankering. um, but the same longing, hankering will midterm leads to misery. um, Nobody is acting in mode of passion knowing that this will cause me suffering. But it will come. Krishna also says dukkha yunana evate. When one engages in sense objects, dukkha comes, but not immediately there is satisfaction of greed and longing and attachments, but midterm there is misery that comes back. And long term he takes birth in a human planet. Those who have taken birth in a human race generally are in mode of passion. Generally, passion and ignorance. Prabhupada says 50 years back, 95% of population is in mode of passion and ignorance. And then ignorance is immediately madness, illusion, um, like anger or intoxication. We don't know what is right, what is wrong in those situations. Laziness, when we are sleeping, we don't know who we are. So these are all sign of ignorance. And those who live such a life, they act foolishly because they don't know what is right, what is wrong, and they act in a way without discrimination, and they turn out to be foolish in front of others. So this is short term effect. And long term effect is either animal life or hellish planets. So this is about the action and reaction, or the reactions in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So goodness, knowledge, purity, no distress, heavenly planets. um, Longing, attachment, greed, hankering, passion, it will lead to misery and a human birth. Ignorance, laziness, moha, illusion. We lack discrimination power. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. We turned out to become foolish in front of others. And animal life or hellish planets. So now the last few verses of this chapter. um, Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drishtanupash pashyati gunebhyascha param veti madbhavam sodigachati. Na Nanyam. When there is A and there is a bar, that Nanyam becomes Na Anyam. So there are two A's. Two A's combined together make a A with a bar. So it says Na Anyam. Gunebhya kartaram. So a person who has a spiritual vision, a devotee of the Lord, sees that Na Anyam, nobody else is working. Kartaram is working other than Guna, the three modes. So he sees that um, in my life, um, the only person who is working is three modes, because the soul only desires, but the body is completely under three modes. It works under three modes. We are dealing with three modes day and night. Whether hankering attachment develops, or desire for peace and being clean, or over. Sheetal, Prabhu, you have a question or no? Nothing.
No, no, Prabhuji. It was open two times, so sorry.
Okay, okay, no problem. Okay. So a devotee sees that nobody else is working other than the three modes. Whether hankering attachment when develops, then he knows that, oh, I am coming in mode of passion. Or when he becomes um, agitated, fault finding, he knows that ignorance. When he is becoming angry, he knows that mode of ignorance is becoming heavy on me. So a self-realized soul, a devotee of the Lord, can see himself different from the mind and the body, and can see, well, the mind is behaving in mode of passion, behaving in ignorance. So the person who realizes himself as the spirit soul can see different emotions, that it's only three modes who are working. I am part and parcel of Krishna, Satchitananda. I have nothing to do with these emotions, but they are becoming heavy on me. So when a person can see this, can observe this, um, that is a sign of self-realization. Recently, one devotee was sharing that mentioned in Manasiksha. It's a book by training our mind, how to teach our mind. There, Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj writes that mm, when we are trying to be enjoyers, we cannot be observers. We cannot observe ourselves. But when we are observers, when we are observing ourselves, means we are not means we know that we are not the enjoyer. When we don't have the enjoying propensity, then we can see everything that is happening in our life. We can study ourselves, we can study others, we can observe the nature and learn from it, and do everything like that. Like in Shrimad Bhagavatam, there is a story comes in Uddhav Gita, where one brahmana has 24 gurus. He learned something from a small girl, from a bird, from a prostitute. So he calls all of them guru, because by observing their life, he can learn something, either what to do or what not to do. So that's why the whole nature becomes one's guru. So we can observe everything. We can observe what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita practically in our life, if we are not too self absorbed in trying to enjoy. But when we are too much focused in our personal enjoyment, we cannot see anything. Why? Because we are mad after what we are looking for. So it requires mode of goodness. Um, so who actually sees? Drishta, pashyati. Pashyati means to see. Who actually sees? The person who sees that only modes are acting, he actually sees. But the person who thinks, I want to hurt this person, he, what does he think of himself? Why he's not doing anything that needs to be done? So one who has all these questions means he's trying to be the enjoyer instead of trying to be the servant. And that person cannot see how just the three modes are working. So this is something, um, um, how the modes are in action. And then gunebhyash cha param vitti, one who sees param means transcendental, one who sees mad bhavam. Krishna is telling mad means me. One who sees that myself and my nature is param gunebhyas, is beyond the modes, or I am transcendental to the modes. So adi gachati means he attains my nature. So a devotee or any person who can see that Krishna is beyond the modes, um, one who can see that only modes are acting, In my life, in everyone's else life, everywhere, just the three modes are capturing the living entity to continue cycle of birth and death and work for personal gratification. It's just the modes working, he actually sees. And one who sees that Krishna is transcendental and the pure devotees of the Lord are also transcendental, he can attain the nature of Krishna. In other words, he can escape the cycle of birth and death. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, um, um, जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम एवं यो वेति तत्वता तक्तम जे तक्त्वा deham punarjanma naiti mamiti. So Arjuna, one who can see that my qualities and my birth and activities, they are all divyam. Janma, karma, chame divyam. They are all transcendental. After leaving the body, he does not take birth in this material world again. In other words, we have to realize Krishna. Only when we realize Krishna, um, can we go back to Godhead. So we have to realize the material world and we have to realize Krishna simultaneously. And we have to see how Krishna, his planet, everything is transcendental beyond material world, and how in this material world only the three modes are acting. So one who sees these two things, he can escape the cycle of birth and death. This same concept is also mentioned in Ishopanishad, where it says we have to cultivate ignorance and knowledge simultaneously. Ignorance means the true nature of this material world. We have to understand that, and the transcendental nature of Krishna. So that is knowledge. So knowledge and ignorance should be cultivated simultaneously. Shrimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, all Srila Prabhupada books describes the temporary suffering nature of this material world and the sweetness and supreme pleasure of Krishna. These two things simultaneously should be cultivated. Okay, and coming to the next verse, when the embodied being means the soul who has a temporary body, embodied, one who has a body. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, so when we transcend the three modes, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distress, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. So when we go beyond three modes, we can experience Krishna and realize the sweetness of Krishna, and we don't have to go through birth, old age, disease, and death. Because we go back to Godhead as per previous verse. And if you see Sanskrit, it says Guna etan atitya trin. Atitya. Atitya means to transcend. Guna is three modes: Rajogun, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Sattva Guna, Tamoguna. So these are three modes. So one who transcend the three modes, Guna Atitya, Gunatita, Janma Mrityu Jara Dukha, he becomes free from birth, death, jara is old age, and the misery associated with that. Vimukto, he becomes liberated. Amritam Ashnute. Amrita means he tastes nectar in this life. He is the one who can actually become happy, um, um, and escape the cycle of birth and death when he transcends the modes. So after Arjuna heard that a person who transcends the mode can become happy in this life, all our miseries because of the three modes, um, and can become liberated. Then Arjuna inquired, well, how do I know if I have if I am in the modes or I have transcended the modes? So he asked Krishna three questions. Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What are the symptoms? So Arjuna wants to check for himself, do I have those symptoms? So what are the symptoms of a transcendentalist who has transcend? When we say the word transcendentalist, means he has transcended the modes. And the word transcended means he has gone beyond. So one is in either we are in the three modes or we have transcended the modes, means we have gone beyond the three modes. So that become transcendentalist. So Arjuna wants to know, have I become transcendental to these three modes? So what are the symptoms of a transcendentalist? What is his behavior? How does he act on day-to-day basis? What is his internals symptoms? What is his behavior? And how does he, and Arjuna also wants to know, if I have not transcended, then he wants to know how can he transcend the modes of nature? How can one transcend? Because one who transcend the modes enjoy transcendental happiness and becomes liberated. So how do one transcend the three modes? So these are questions, and next five verses, the rest of the chapter goes in answering these three questions. The next verse describes the symptoms of one who has transcended the three modes. Then three verses describes the behavior of one who has transcended the three modes. And the last verse describes how can we transcend the three modes. Okay. So these are the symptoms of one who has transcended the three modes. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha pandava na dveshti sampravrittani na nivritani kankshati. Prakasham, Prakash. Prakash means illumination or knowledge. Illumination, light. Illumination means one who is in knowledge. Prakasham is, if you remember, a quality of a person in goodness. Means he can see things with knowledge. He can see things as they are. Prakasham cha pravrittim. So there are two words, pravritti and nivritti. Pravritti is attachment. Attachment is sign of passion. Prakasham cha pravrittim cha means goodness, passion. Moha. Moha is illusion. Illusion is a sign of ignorance. Moham eva cha Pandava, the son of Pandu, referring to Arjuna. Whether Prakash, whether illumination, pravritti, attachment, or moha, illusion. Na dveshti, um, one who does not hate them. The word dvesh has two meanings here. One who does not become envious. Dvesha means envy, of envious of anyone, and one who does not hate when attachment and other things are present. Sampravritani na nivratani kankshati. Kankshati, na sochati na kankshati. This verse comes in Bhagavad Gita. Kankshati means to hanker. And nivritti is when the attachment is absent, he does not hanker for it, and when the attachment is present, he does not hate it. He does not hate it. So um, usually when something we are attached to, when we see that something we are attached to, um, we become agitated, we become disturbed mentally, and when something that we are attached to is not present in front of us, then we hanker for it. When it is present, we become disturbed. When it is not present, we hanker for it. So that is a sign that we are in three modes. But a person beyond three modes, whether it is present or not present, when it is present, it doesn't matter to him, it doesn't affect him, he does not hate it. um, um, and when it is absent, he does not long for it. In other words, he is undisturbed in all situations, whether mode of goodness is prominent or mode of passion is prominent or mode of ignorance, moha, illusion. um, he doesn't hanker for them or he doesn't hate them, he remains neutral. um, One example is, um, one time Srila Prabhupada um, came to the west, and these western disciples, they arrange a limousine, the big car for him to take him to the temple. It is described that spiritual master should be treated as good as God. So they wanted to make the best arrangement to please their spiritual master. Spiritual master is only a representative of God, but he should be treated and respected as good as God. So they arranged a big limousine for him. The driver always comes with the car, especially these high-end cars. So the driver thought a great mystic yogi has come from India. So Srila Prabhupada sat in the back. So the driver asks Swamiji, "Can you show me some mystical powers?" And Srila Prabhupada replied to the driver, and Prabhupada said, "I can stand in a room with in a room where there are 100 naked women, and I will not be disturbed, but you will be disturbed." So that's a sign of one who is beyond the three modes. When object of attachment is present, um, um, pure souls are not disturbed by it. For a common man, because they are not attached, for them it's not an object of attachment, but anything present, they are not disturbed by it. And when they are not there, they don't hanker for it. So they are like kind of free. They are free in this material world. That's why the more pure we become, the more we are free from um, um, the advertisements of this material world. These advertisements refers to things that wants to keep us in this material world, and a conditioned soul is very much attracted to these advertisements, and he is very much attracted for position, wealth, and women. Mahaprabhu says he is very much attracted, but a pure soul is free, he is neutral. It doesn't matter what's there, what's not there. His consciousness is flowing towards Krishna. He is spontaneously attracted towards Krishna. um, so that's a sign that a person is beyond the three modes. These are the symptoms of a person who is beyond three modes. Now the next verse, uh, Prabhupada says one line there. In these verses, Krishna first indicates that a person transcendently situated has no envy, and does not hanker for anything. Um, the reason one a person has envy in their heart is because of mode of passion. When a person is in mode of passion, his desire is to enjoy, um, and when he sees somebody else is enjoying something that he is not able to enjoy, he becomes envious and he becomes depressed, that why I cannot enjoy, why he can enjoy, and he becomes envious. So that's a sign of the person is bound by the material laws, and those same desires to enjoy will give him another birth based on his or her karma in 8.4 million species of life. Um, he does not envy and he does not hanker for anything. A person who hankers for anything will become envious of one who has those things he is hankering for. So they are one and the same thing. And a person who is non envious, he only wants to serve. He doesn't want to, uh, doesn't hanker for anything. Okay, so these are the symptoms of person who is beyond the three modes. Such a person, he can, he's already a liberated soul, although he is living in this material world. He may be working, he may have a family, he may be doing everything like a common man does, but the difference is his consciousness is liberated, whereas for a common man, consciousness is attached. Now, Krishna explains the behavior, external conduct of a gunatita. Um, Atita means one who has transcended. Gunatita means one who has transcended the three modes. What is his external conduct, his behavior? If you um, um, if you are reading Bhagavad Gita, you may remember in the second chapter, Arjuna asked the same question, because second chapter is the summary of entire Bhagavad Gita. There we discussed the acronym was Gita, and A stood for Atmaram, a self-realized soul. And then Krishna asked this question. He does not bring this word, the three modes, and Gunatita, but he asked the same question: how does a self-realized soul walk? How does he eat? How does he act? How? Tell me more. And the similar answers that we are discussing, Krishna gave there. But Krishna did not tell how to transcend the modes, how to become a self-realized soul. Krishna just mentions the behavior because that's what Arjuna asked. And Arjuna asks us asking here on a similar lines, what is the behavior of a Gunatita, one who is beyond the three modes? And but this time Arjuna also asks, how do we attain that state of free from this material world, free from attachments and illusions and aversions and hatreds and all the advertisement of this material world. So first is behavior. Okay. Now there are three verses I have summarized. All these three verses have been summarized here. um, First quality is neutral. The person is neutral, like we discussed in the previous slide. um, doesn't matter what's there, what's not there. He remains unaffected. He knows that because he is not hankering, he is unaffected. So neutral, udasina, and undisturbed by reactions of modes. Guna yona vichalyate, vichalit hona, vichalna means to become disturbed, to become agitated. Na vichalyate, he does not become disturbed um, um, by how the three modes are changing. He does not become disturbed no matter what happens. He knows everything is just three modes. Uh, Knowing that the modes alone are active, he knows the soul is not the doer. It's the three modes who is the doer. The soul can only desire. The Lord sanctions everything in this world is done by the three modes. So he's not disturbed by them. Now this word comes sama and tulya. They are the same thing. Tulya means same and sama means same. So equal to happiness and distress, because happiness and distress in this world, both are temporary. Both are temporary. But sometimes we are carried over by happiness and distress, either ones. Like um, we all were infected by this virus, and I noticed in the devotees living in a temple, when they were infected, they were undisturbed. All right, who cares? And they continue their service. And then they took the necessary measurements for the cure. And when they again were tested negative and they were cured, then their behavior was all right. Okay. So they were neither too disturbed when the situation was unfavorable externally, and they were neither very happy when the situation becomes favorable, because everybody knows I may be negative today, I may be cultivating some terminal disease, or 10 years down the line I may not live. Situation in this world is temporary. Today I am safe, tomorrow I will I will be in a different difficult situation. The nature of this world is, sometime we are in a safe zone, happy zone, sometime we are in a miserable situation. A conditioned soul, he goes through these waves of emotions. Oh wow, you know what happened? A self-realized soul, nothing excites him. He, if you see like pure devotees, you give them a great news, they are undisturbed. You give them a very, if we are very disturbed by a unhappy news, then we will definitely be overjoyed by a happy news. So a person who remains sama, same in good or bad situation in life, knowing that this material world is three modes, I am transcendental, I am part and parcel of Krishna. My purpose, no matter what happens, is I should surrender to Krishna. No matter situation is favorable or unfavorable, I should continue my service and I should surrender to Krishna. So one who is beyond beyond the three modes, he is sama. He's same in happiness and distress. Then firmly situated, one second. Then firmly situated in the self. Um, um, Swastha. Um, Firmly situated in the self means he does not identify himself with the body. He always sees himself or herself as spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna, who has a relationship with Krishna. So he lives on that platform. He has realized that he is part and parcel of Krishna. So that person is situated, is self situated. Only when we identify with the body do we go through the emotions when the pain and pleasure the body goes through. It's because of our false identification. Then sees a lump of earth, a stone, and gold as the same. So this person, self-realized person, gunatita, transcendentalist, he does not discriminate between what looks good and attractive and what does not look good and is unattractive. He does not discriminate. A conditioned soul um, likes a certain situation. If we are attached to what looks good, then we'll certainly hate what does not look good. And then our behavior will just be in the three modes, and we will just be caught up by these three modes. Um, there was one very rich man. He was very spiritually inclined, but he was like a millionaire. Okay. Tushar, do you have a question? Okay. Okay, so there was this person during Srila Prabhupada time. He was a very rich man, but he was very spiritually inclined. So he would visit different spiritual master with his friend who was very poor, and he would introduce himself as a millionaire, as a businessman, one of the top richest person, and another person as like a shopkeeper or somebody who does not have any earning. And he would see if the spiritual master pays me more attention than him. If he makes distinction, then he is not a bona fide spiritual master. A bona fide spiritual master does not like us or dislike us based on our wealth, position, gender, beauty, birth, etc., occupation, etc. He does not discriminate. All he sees is like this person is looking for happiness. This person is part and parcel of Krishna, and because of his or her forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna, he is going through these waves of happiness and distress in this world, and he is seeking that inner fulfillment. No matter who we are, whether we are the richest person or um, Janmaishvara Shruti Shribhir, whether we have lot of opulences, lot of beauty, high birth and high education, doesn't matter. Everybody who is not connected to Krishna feels an emptiness in his heart, feels a longing for fulfillment. They just don't know how to become fulfilled internally. So everyone has that longing. So this person sees, well, this person is looking for Krishna. Some know, some don't know. How can I serve this person? The spiritual master sees everybody on a platform of spirit soul. Suni chaiva sopakecha pandita samadarshina. A true pandit, a true self realized soul is one who has samadarshina, who has equal vision. Whether one is a dog eater, a chandala, um, brahmane kavi hastini or hasti, or whether one is an elephant, one sees that everybody is part and parcel of Krishna. So he sees gold and stone as the same. So when Srila Prabhupada came, these two people came, one millionaire and one very poor, and Srila Prabhupada gave equal reception to them both. Srila Prabhupada did not like show lot of affection and attention towards the millionaire and less towards the other person. Then this person understood that Srila Prabhupada is actually um, a, a benefactor, a well wisher of everyone, and he is a self realized soul. Then, Tulya Priya Apriyo. Uh, Tulya means same. Again, this word, um, if we want to know who is a self realized soul, we can know from their behavior. They are unaffected to anything and everything. um, tulya tulya priya apriyo. Whether somebody is dear or somebody is non-dear, they are same. They deal equally affectionately with everyone. In a conditioned state, um, we um, we are more inclined toward those who are dear to us, like our family, our children, our parents, our relatives. We do a lot for them. But those who are apriyo, who are not related to us, we don't care about them. In fact, um, outside people suffering, we become happy, and our children, our spouse suffer, we become miserable. Priya and apriya differently. But a self-realized soul, as a person becomes more and more self-realized, his affection grows wider. His affection is not limited to one's family and one's children. He is the object of their affection. Like if you see Srila Prabhupada, he was affectionate to a drug addict, an American, as much as he was affectionate to his own son. He said, "You are all my sons and daughters." So he was equally affectionate to every living entity. So as we expand our consciousness, and develop, because all relationship in this material world are temporary. Are temporary. In this story of Maharaj Chitraketu, um, when the son died, Narad Muni came, and Narad Muni asked the son, "My dear child, why did you leave your father?" And the child got up because of the potency of Narad Muni. And the child said, "Which father, which mother? Previous life, I had a father and mother. In my next life, where I have gone, I have another father and mother. And previous all the lives, I have my own father and mother and relative." So, one who identifies with a bodily relationship is not very much in knowledge. um, so one's affection is not towards Priya and Apriya, but when he sees that everybody is a spirit soul, they are playing a particular drama in this life. They are playing a particular roles, but they are neither male nor female, nor a mother nor a father. They all are playing certain roles for a short time, but they are all actually part and parcel of Krishna. Nobody is mine, and कोई अपना नहीं है, कोई पराया नहीं है. In a way, there is nobody Priya and nobody Apriya. Everyone is a spiritual part and parcel of Krishna. So one who can have this Pandita Samadarshina, his affection grows to all living entities. He wants to do good and help all living entities. And then steady is dhira. So these transcendentalists, you cannot bring out material emotions from material reasons from them. You- um, any material reasons will not excite them. Prabhuji, you got green card. All right. Prabhuji, you got this. Somebody gifted you a new car. All right. Probably you lost your car was lost in accident. All right. So this is like dhira. They are not disturbed by the disturbances in this material world. The cause of disturbance is attachments. That's when we become disturbed. Like I remember, this is uh, in the year, this many years back. I was working in US that time. I was working in Grand Rapids actually, and um, um, I got a new car, and then uh, a friend of mine, he was a devotee. He visited from Novi Farmington Hills area. He was visiting me. I was practicing devotional service. I was sincerely trying to progress in my own spiritual life, but attachments are there. So he said, "Oh, new car, can I drive?" I said, "Yeah." So he started driving, and I was sitting in the passenger seat, and he met an accident, and I was very disturbed. I was like, "Bro, I just got this car last month, and you hit the car." So so I was not dhira. So why we are disturbed by actions and reactions in this world? Because of attachments. Now it is easy to say, um, um, but then when it comes to practice, it becomes very difficult. um, but at the same time we must understand, well, these are the qualities of one who is transcendentalist, and we realize we are not transcendentalists, and we cannot mimic our transcendentalists, but we can try to become transcendentalists. We can take some baby steps in a direction that we can become such a soul. Now Bhagavad Gita speaks about the living entity who is a jiva. Bhagavad Gita speaks about Krishna, who is God. Bhagavad Gita speaks about Maya, the three modes, and how the Jiva is covered by Maya, because of which he cannot realize God Krishna. So, Bhagavad Gita speaks about qualities and behavior of a pure devotee, and how can a Jiva who is in Maya become a pure devotee. So Bhagavad Gita speaks about everything. And today, at this point of time, in this verse, Krishna describes how to become a pure devotee. So steady, dhira, and then equal towards praise and blame. Tulya nindatma samstuti. Stuti means is to praise, and ninda is to blame. Tulya is same. Same when somebody blame us or somebody praises us. Now, to be same in both the situation is a very advanced platform. We have to be free from false ego, because when somebody praises, um, um, we become proud because of false ego. Because of false ego we think I am great, that's why others are praising me, and then we take the credit, and we identify ourselves as the doer, and we don't see what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. I am the ability of the man, I am the strength of the strong. Among the Pandavas I am Arjuna. Whatever we are able to do, because we may be very intelligent, that Krishna says I am the intelligence of the intelligent. So one who does not see Krishna factor in his or her own life, he thinks he or she is a doer. Yeah, I have this, I did this, and he or she takes credit, and that is a sign of false ego. And then he or she becomes proud. And the other side of the same coin is when somebody says you're nonsense, then we are so hurt, we don't want to talk to them for the rest of our life. So we are not tulya, ninda and samstuti, um, we are atulya. But a transcendentalist doesn't matter. You criticize him or you glorify him. When you glorify him, he gives the glory to Guru and Krishna. Whatever I am able to do is by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And when somebody blame them, then the person thinks, a self-realized soul thinks, that's correct, there is fault in me. So he's always tinadapi sunichena, he's always humble. A humble person will take whatever blame the other person will retaliate. uh, um, mana mana apamanayostulyas. Again, you see the behavior of a self-realized soul is tulya or sama sukhadika or tulya. Mana apamana, man is respect, when we are respected. Apaman, uh, honor. Apaman is dishonor. Mana apamanayos tulyas, again same, whether we are respected or disrespected, honored or dishonored. Tulya mitrari pakshya pakshayo. Pakshalena. Pakshalena means uh, enemies. He's against us. He's taking another paksh. And mitra is friend. So friend and enemy who is alike. Again, they all arise because of false ego. False ego. Until we are in three modes, um, until three modes, when we say three modes or maya, one and the same thing, unless we have this influence of this illusory energy which acts through the three modes, we cannot even practice one of these behavior. For us, next verse is, all right, what do I do now? How do I transcend? How do I become like this? This is too high. What do I do at my state? And renounces all material activities. Parityagi. Tyagi is renunciation. Tyag. Um, Sarvarambha Parityagi, who renounces all material activities. Krishna describes true renunciation is one who is not attached to results of their activities. That is true renunciation. True renunciation does not mean, Krishna says, even when one is in a renounced order, he may still be cultivating his own attachments. So he's not really a parityagi. Okay, so these are the external conducts, how you can see these qualities in a pure devotees. You can see these qualities in Srila Prabhupada. You can see these qualities in, if you have seen a pure devotee in your life, you can see, and you can see how they are beyond three modes. That's how they become attractive, and that's how we become attracted to them. Now, the last verse, Krishna describes how to attain this state, Arjuna. A soul who may be conditioned by the illusory energy, may be covered by the three modes. How can he go beyond? And Krishna says, Mam chayo vyabhichare bhakti yogena sevate saguna samati taitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Arjuna, by rendering bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is devotional service. By rendering sevate, by rendering devotional service. Onto whom? Mam. By rendering devotional service onto me. And what kind of devotional service? Avyabhicharena. Avyabhicharena means uh, continuous continuous devotional service. Not like now I finish my 16 rounds, now I can do whatever I want to do. Avyabhisharana bhakti. One who can do that, one who can continuously render devotional service. We will discuss this. First, let us see the conclusion. Sa guna samatitaitan. So we were discussing about guna atita. Sa guna samatitaita. Again, guna atita. So he can transcend the three modes. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, he attains a spiritual platform, a Brahman platform. Brahman platform means spiritual platform. He comes to the level of Brahman. Now, Mam Chayu, this is the last verse for this chapter. Uh, okay. Um, this is the last verse for this chapter. Um, um, how does one engage in devotional service? One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances. Now, um, devotional service, devotion means with love. Devotional service means um, when somebody does something out of love for the Lord, out of love for him, that is devotional service. Now, how can we render uh, devotional service unfailing in all circumstances? Means uninterrupted, um, or continuous devotional service. Does that mean one has to chant 24 hours? Not necessary. You just chant your 16 rounds, which takes 1.5 hours. You just do your minimum, or chant whatever number of rounds you are doing. Whatever you are doing, do that much. But then rest of the day also you try to render devotional service. You see what kind of devotional service you like to do. And you like kirtan, you like to hear kirtan, you like to play instruments, you like to read, you like to cook. Whatever devotional service you like to do, you do that more for more, you do that service more. Somehow or other, avyabhicharena bhakti, when we are rendering devotional service, then Krishna says that person becomes a Mahatma. Krishna says in 9th chapter, Mahatmanas to mam partha daivim prakritim ashrita. So a Mahatma is daivim prakritim ashrita. Ashrita is shelter, ashraya, ashraya, daivim prakritim. A, a Mahatma is under the shelter of my internal energy. We are either under internal energy at any point of time or external energy. When we are under internal energy, the modes will not act. We have transcended at least at that point of time. And when we are not under internal energy, by default we are under external energy, or we are in the three modes. Hmm. Recently I was reading somewhere that one important item of devotional service is attentiveness, being attentive to what we are doing and why we are doing. Just like I recently was having a one-on-one conversation with a devotee, and I asked him, how can we come to the stage of um, increase our time throughout the day in devotional service? How can we do it in a practical way? And he said, I don't know. Please try to explain. Please explain however you can. And I asked him, tell me a person you love. And he said, I love my daughter. And I said, uh, he's a westerner, so they have different lifestyle and different everything different. So I asked him, how do you express your love for your daughter? And he said, well, I cook what she likes. She likes apples, so I bring apples for her. And I just make sure that she's comfortable. I just make sure that her needs are taken care. So devotional service is something where we treat Krishna as a person, and we become attentive to Krishna just like he is present in our home, and we become attentive to his needs, and to his service, just like we are rendering service to the daughter, or the spouse, or whoever we like and whoever we love in this world. Likewise, we just like, if you contemplate on how I express my love towards somebody, if you use the same principle and see how I can express my love and my affection, and service to Krishna, and anything that is done for the pleasure of Krishna is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means anything done for the pleasure of Krishna. Just like when you are working, you are not working for yourself, you are working for your spouse and children in many ways. Um, Whatever we are doing for somebody. In a way, we are conscious for, I'm trying to please my manager, I am trying to earn so I can give a comfortable living to my family. We are always trying to do it for somebody, and if we include Krishna in that somebody, um, and when we try to do something for the pleasure of Krishna, then that becomes a devotional service. Just like when a mother cooks for a child, she knows very well my child likes this. She knows very well. She is fully aware that I am cooking for my child. I want to make my child happy. The mother is very well aware of that. Now, for a child, the child has to be personally there in order to feed him. But for Krishna, it's not required, because the child is in a material body, and he is not transcendental. But Krishna is transcendental. So Krishna is beyond the laws of material nature. So Krishna responds through his picture, through his deity, and through his personal presence, all in the same way, because Krishna is transcendental. Krishna name is transcendental. Krishna's picture is transcendental. Krishna's deity is transcendental. The thought of Krishna is transcendental. Everything about Krishna is transcendental. Just like when we love somebody, we are very conscious of them, of their needs, or we think about them a lot. How do we please them? What can I do? So any in any form or way, if somehow we render any service or do anything keeping in mind that I am doing this for Krishna, that becomes a devotional service. Anytime Krishna is in the center, we are becoming purified. And Krishna consciousness is a matter of training. It's a matter of training. We have to train ourselves. The first step of training is hearing. We should hear more, and we should read more, and that will expand our understanding of how can I become more Krishna conscious throughout the day. And slowly, it's a training, but the idea is we can develop all the qualities we discussed if we increase our Krishna consciousness. How soon do we go beyond Maya, or develop all these qualities and purify the false ego, and and how soon do we want to become free from um, um, lusty desires, envious thought, greedy mentality, proud consciousness, um, um, illusory energy? How soon we want to become free from all these things depends upon how well, how favorably, and with how much sincerity do we take to the path of Krishna consciousness. Mam chai vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Um, if you go to seventh chapter, end of seventh chapter, Krishna says, "Render devotional service unto me." If you go to eighth chapter, Krishna says, "Render devotional service unto me." If you go to the end of ninth chapter, Krishna says, "Man mana bhav mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru." Always think of me, become my devotee, render devotional service unto me. You go to any chapter, the last verse of the chapter or second last verse of the chapter, Krishna brings to the point of devotional service. And this is the end of the chapter number 14, and Krishna describes the whole three modes and when make us go through this whole emotions of goodness, passion, ignorance, what is the effect, short term, mid term, long term, what are the reactions, etc, etc, what are the benefits of going beyond the three modes, and finally how do we do that? Render devotional service. So, and this same conclusion is there at the end of 18th chapter, where Krishna says, sarva dharma parityaja mam ekam sharanam raja, abandon all varieties of religion, mam ekam sharanam raja, just surrender unto me, sharan, मेरी शरण लो, माम eka, ek sharan, no other shelter. Just surrender unto me. Aham tom sarva papabhi mokshayishami masucha. I will take care of everything. I will remove all your sinful reactions. I will take care of everything. So this is the conclusion that Krishna brings very emphatically in the 18th chapter, and that Krishna repeats at the end of every chapter is render devotional service, Baba, render devotional service, render devotional service, render devotional service. So that's all we will discuss today, and we will begin with 15th chapter only next week. Um, are there any discussions?
No, Prabhuji, but it was really nice to listen to this chapter, Prabhuji. It was the qualities of a devotee. It's really very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also aspiring to develop some of these qualities. Thank you. All right, so we will end here. Vansha kalpatarubhesha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha anant koti vaishnavrinda ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.